invitation in the post one Monday morn to attend our cousin's wedding in the town where we were born. The do was back in Kerry, so wishing to be frugal, we trawled the net to find some decent travel deals on Google. Cheap flights, cheap as they can be. Begad, we found an airline selling flights for 50p. Diddly-di-di-di-di-di-di. Well, we clicked onto the website and were mightily surprised to find the actual cost wasn't quite as advertised. We'd forgotten airport taxis and also to be billed, but a bargain is a bargain, and begorra we were thrilled. Cheap flights, that's the neutrally. Ah, it isn't every airline offers flights for 50p. Diddly-i-di-di-di-di-di-di. After studying the website, we decided it was best to pay priority boarding so that we sit three abreast, that's the best. And of course we all have luggage, so that's an extra cost. And then we paid insurance in case our luggage might get lost. Cheap flights, it's obvious to see. There must be extra charges when the flights are 50p. Diddly-i-di-di-di-di-di-di. At last the flight was booked with all of the additions. We've read the reams of small print of terms and conditions. And then begad they charged us using Visa, which was drastic. 'Cause how the heck are you supposed to pay if not with flipping plastic? Cheap flights, we paid the flipping fee. 'Cause now we were committed to the flights for 50p. Diddly-i-di-di-di-di-di-di. Someone's being diddled and it's us, so it is. Now, I don't know if you've tried locating Stansted on a map, but checking in at 5 a.m. is a flipping load of faff. You are banjaxed if you try to catch a train or underground. So a taxi to the end of the world is more than £100. Cheap flights, we should have gone by sea. There's no such blooming thing as a flipping flight for 50p. Diddly-i-di-di-di-di-di-di. Then, at last we reached the airport, where we had to pay a fine. The flipping scammers charged us, 'cause we hadn't booked in online. And finally, aboard the flight, there's an extra class of tax, 'cause the flipping scammers, well, they charge to use the laps. Cheap flights, I think you must agree that only flipping idiots think there's flights for 50p. Diddly-i-di-di-di-di-di-di. Well, finally we landed and tried to shuffle up the aisle, but the steward sent us down the back with never a hint of a smile. And as we heard his announcement, our hearts gave a terrible thump. If you haven't prepared to use the steps, you'll have to flipping jump. Cheap flights, they're hardly known to me. You're an idiot if you think a flipping flight is 50p.